Okay guys, here is a problem that we've got, and I'm going to show you a way that we're going to use a different kind of proportion to help us solve this equation, or problem I should say. But let's look at what we have. So we have a recipe here for pancakes. You're going to have a recipe for your favorite thing as well, and maybe it looks something like this as well. So let's take a look at this. At the end, if you look down here, all right, it's asking us, okay, what do we need in order to make 10 pancakes? Well, we could figure out unit rates, and we could say, okay, if we wanted to figure out how much flour we need per pancake, okay, we could figure out that using a unit rate. But proportions are really cool, and we're going to set up something that looks like this. Okay, and we have to fill in 3 of these squares. One of these is an unknown number. One of these is what we're trying to solve for. The other 3 will put in numbers here. So let's take a look at what I mean by that. And so let's go back to our question. So it says, how much do we need to make 10 pancakes? Well, our original recipe makes 4. Well, the 2 questions are what? Question A says, how much flour do we need? All right, how much flour do we need in order to make 10 pancakes? Here's what I want you to do. When we think of a proportion, all right, a very cool way to solve these is literally to look at, all right, our 2 variables, or what we're trying to solve for. And what I mean by that is question A says, how much flour do you need? So flour, of course, has to be one of the things that we look at, one of the units. The other one in this case is going to be pancakes. Okay, so when we set up this proportion, we're going to look at flour over pancakes, and do not mind my sloppy writing. Here's what we need to do. I have 4 squares. All right, I've got to fill in numbers for 3 of those. I want to keep this fraction, all right, and we might end up with a complex fraction, guys. That's okay. We can deal with that. If I want to make 10 pancakes, all right, right now my recipe makes 4. Well, how much flour does my recipe use currently? Well, look back over here. So it uses 6 tablespoons of flour. So I'm going to put a 6 here. All right. How many pancakes will 6 tablespoons of flour make me? All right, that will make me 4. Do we know how much flour it's going to take in 10 pancakes? I don't. All right, I can think of that like a question mark. I'm not sure what that is. That's what I'm solving for. All right, now, how many pancakes do I want to have, or how many servings do we want to have? Well, at the end, we want 10. All right, we know our original recipe will make 4, but we want to solve for 10 because that's what we're trying to figure out. Guess what? So I'm going to rewrite this. All right, I'm going to scroll up here just a little bit. And so I'm going to rewrite this with our favorite letter. All right, I'm going to put an X in here in its place. All right, so now here's what we have. Okay, so I have 6 over 4 is equal to X over 10. And here is what is going to happen, guys. All right, we're going to, finally, I'm going to let you cross multiply. And we're going to take this 4 times this X, and I'm also going to take this 6 times the 10. So it's going to turn into this. It's going to say 4X is equal, again, I haven't lost my equal sign. It's hard to see there with my lines, is equal to 6 times 10, right? Or that's just 60. All right, and I'm going to put over here, this was 4 times X. All right, I got 60 from 6 times 10. Now, what does this tell me? If we read this in English, this says 4 times some number is equal to 60. So you can ask yourself one of 2 things. One, what number can I multiply 4 by to get 60? Or I could also do this. I could say if I divided, all right, 4, right? If I divide each one of these things by 4, guess what? That will tell me what my X is, or how much flour I'll need. 60 divided by 4, I think that should be 15. Okay, 15 what though? All right, we look back at our units. So we were back up here. So tablespoons. So in 4 pancakes, I used 6 tablespoons of flour. So if I want to make 10 pancakes, it's going to take 15, all right, tablespoons of flour. And that, guys, that is our new way to solve proportions. So go ahead, let's take a look at B. All right, if you want to pause this, do that. All right, let's take a look at B in terms of how much milk, all right, we might need. All right, so go ahead and pause it. And in the meantime, look, everything just disappeared. So we're really happy about that now. And let's try to figure this out. My two things that I'm looking at is going to be milk and pancakes. Great news, it does not matter what order we put these in. I could go pancakes over milk. I could go milk over pancakes. It's not going to change our answer. So let's look back. Again, I'm going to be using 4 pancakes. That's what my recipe calls for, but I want 10. All right, we're going to set this up the same way. My pancake number, they will always be, right, my pancake numbers are always going to be down here in my denominator. So what are those two numbers? Well, 4 and 10. All right, now in 4 pancakes, how much milk do I use? I use 1/4 of a pint. Well, we can leave this as 1/4. I'm not really that scared about it. We could change that to ounces if we wanted to, but for now, let's just leave it at 1/4 of a pint. If we changed that number, if we converted it, we'd be okay. All right, I've put an X in here. This is what we're solving for. I want to know how much milk it's going to take, all right, to make 10 pancakes. Let's do the same thing. Let's cross multiply. So step 1, we cross multiply both things. So 4, all right, times an X, we're going to get a 4X. 1/4 times 10. 1/4 times 10. We can really think of that as 10 over 1, gang. For now, let's leave that as a fraction. So 4X, all right, and that's going to be equal to 10 over 4. Right? We could change that into a mixed number if we wanted to, but I don't really think it's necessary right now. So we're going to take this, and now we have to divide this by 4. So that sounds like a lot of fun. So here's what we'll do. So let's get ourselves some room here. We want to figure out, we can think of this as saying 4 times some number is equal to 10/4. Yes, there's got to be a number out there. Well, what is that number? Well, if I divide both things by 4, and you don't really have to worry about why we're doing this now. These are equations, and we'll solve these later. But for now, just know that whatever number's here just happens to be a 4. All right, that's what I'm going to divide by. So here's what our answer should be. Our answer is going to be equal to 10/4 divided by 4. And I'm going to put 4 over 1 because now we can solve this problem. Never mind the reason why, just invert and multiply. So 10/4 times 1/4. All right, and that turns out to be what? 10 times 1 is 10. 4 times 4 is 16. We should probably reduce this to say 5/8. So there is our answer. Now, what is 5/8 in? So let's swing back up here. We could say 5/8. That's really in pints. Okay, so if it took 1/4 of a pint to make 4 pancakes, it will take 5/8 of a pint to make 10. All right, so what you're going to do now, all right, eventually is you'll be taking your recipe, all right, and doing this exact same thing with it. It sounds confusing, but just remember, everything hinges off of our setup here. What are our 2 variables that we are trying to solve for and figure out? Okay? Good luck.